It's time to get your pulls. Going to the comic store. Time to get your pulls. Better get those bags and boards out. Better get those pulls at the
PottyHumor.com.
Yeah.
Coming to you live from the PottyHumor.com studios, it's Getchyapulls.
Getchyapulls.
Welcome to Get Your Pulls, number 56. It's Muji.
And it's Dan.
And it's Todd, and we don't suck dicks.
Oh,
It
that's
rhymes,
right.
folks. It's educational.
Todd is back in the
Yeah.
PottyHumor.com studios. Get your basement cleaned out, Todd?
I got my basement cleaned out.
Save
Yeah.
the comics.
I did. I have a table in there now. They're safe. Some of the boxes actually took some damage, but the comics were fine. They were all bagged and boarded.
Nice
good to
job,
go.
whoever makes boxes.
Yeah, I mean they
Something in
took
W-
the brunt of
What are
the
they
water
called?
damage.
Something in W? I can't remember.
I
There's
don't
only
know.
one real place that makes supplies.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice job.
They took a heavy hit, but comics are still sound.
It's back to the long box will continue.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Got a series of unfortunate events last week. Led me to not be here for a little while, but I am now back. Fell victim to an open bar. My dad he got remarried, and they had an open bar going. I was like, bro, yeah, something to drink some drinks. And then my basement got flooded. My van crapped out on me the very next day, and I had the worst hangover, like end of the world hangover. Just
That
sucked
sucks, man.
last
I
week.
was
Yeah.
gonna say, I've only been to like 3 open bars, and I'm 3 for 3 and
They will lay
losing
you
to
low.
open bars. I really feel like if you, even at this age, which I mean, we're not fucking old geezers, we're just 30.
Yeah, no,
But
yeah.
even at this age, the fear of the hangover, even the fear of the hangover can't like keep you from going nuts in an open
That's
bar.
right, man. It's just like
Free
you got the
booze
keys.
is fucking hard to turn down. I mean,
I
Free
drink-
booze is one of the most, well, yeah, one of the biggest things in life. It's one of the most powerful things.
I had the most like horrible combination of drinks in a row. I had like whiskey sour, I had like a double shot of Jack, and then all of a sudden it was like an Ultimate Warrior, which was a shitty drink. I don't know why they called it that. It was like some coconut rum and some pineapple sour shit. It was
You can't throw a fruity
I
drink
guess
in.
it was
after
the
some
color
Jack.
of
I
his
don't know what I was
tights.
thinking. Yeah, that must have been it. Yeah.
Maybe because
tasted good.
Maybe because it made you start going, it put you in a place where you start going into horrible rants that no one understands.
That
That would be the Ultimate Warrior if you drink one of those and then look to the sky and you're like, come help me.
They did just shake the ropes and run around.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Awesome. Things were pretty low key for me. I had to go to a wedding this weekend, but they didn't have an open bar, so
Boo.
that
Got yourself lucky there.
was.
What a not so wonderful wedding.
That's pretty much it. Took my kid to the zoo today. Got to get a plug out real quick. I know this is a not wrestling related show, but I'm plugging it on everything and doing somewhat of a media tour this week. I've got about 5 radio shows lined up, so I better get my
Plug
pitch.
away, man.
Better get my pitch prepared here at
This is your
home
platform, man.
on
This is where you plug.
PottyHumor.com. Saturday night, August the 10th at the Empire Arena. That's 22 Austin Avenue in Rossville, Georgia. Kind of like 22 Acacia Avenue in the Iron Maiden song, but instead of whores, they have wrestling. And my great uncle, one of the all-time greats of professional wrestling, Mr. Gypsy Joe, is in bad health. He's just had to have his foot amputated. The costs are piling up on his poor daughter, who's trying to cover it all. And so the wrestling community is coming together to put on the Gypsy Joe benefit event. Bell time will be 8 p.m. Admission will be $5. We've got some very special donations. Already Bill Barons from Show Business Inc., one of the top agents in wrestling, has donated a bunch of things. Mr. Jeff Jarrett from TNA Wrestling has donated some things, and a bunch more. So We're going to do an auction. We're going to try to help him out, and just wanted to get that plug out here before we moved on to the comic book news.
Hell yeah, man. Give us the news.
Nice. I like how you went to radio voice there for a second.
Now with
Hey,
the news.
that's like I said, I had to get my pitch ready.
Yeah, a couple bits of news. Next week I'm sure will be just full of Comic-Con news since that actually started today.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing coming of that yet. I think today's just to get drunk and have fun day there.
Yeah.
Before they start having announcements. I mean, all days are that, but sometimes they also get things done.
Yeah, so we'll have a week of Comic-Con news.
All I've heard about is like the con exclusives that you get swagged with when you go there, man. It's just reading.
Just pisses you off.
Like,
being a huge action figure fan, usually there's at least one thing from Comic-Con that gets me, but luckily this year hasn't been that bad. A couple of years ago I had to throw out for a Rick Walking Dead exclusive action figure that then those dickheads gave to Toys R Us after, so I just, paid a few extra bucks I would have had to because they released it wide like assholes, but but
DC giving away sweet Batman capes. I saw that.
Of course, last year there was last year they gave out Court of Owl's masks for everybody to wear at the panel,
cool.
which it is cool. And if you don't have the trade paperback of that yet, I looked in the solicits, and it's just for basically the regular price you pay for it. At least on cheap graphic novels, where I get most of my graphic novels at, they've got the trade paperback of the first Court of Owls, the first 7 issues of Batman and New 52, but it comes with the mask, and it's $14.99. So if you don't already own that,
that's not bad.
That's a perfect reason to grab it. Yeah, $15, and you get the little plastic mask.
I do want to read it again.
Sold me. That's going on the Amazon wish list tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably just buy it and then sell the trade paperback on eBay and take my loss. But I would gladly pay $10 for one of those masks. So it's fine. Cool. But just a couple little tidbits of news that came out this week. One, and I hope this doesn't affect my pull list, but it seems like it's probably gonna, is Matt Fraction was announced that he's going to be writing an Inhumans ongoing book. And that's going to come out of the events of Infinity, is apparently everything that ever happens for the next 10 years is coming out of Infinity.
Yeah, they're really doing some crazy stuff, man.
Infinity better be awesome, because if all these things come out of it, it's just another, let's move you to the next one, then I'm going to be bummed.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to move on one big crossover after the next, but they seem like they're actually going somewhere, and it's not just like, it's just an event.
Yeah, I hope so. The worst part of a crossover is if it's just to set up the next crossover.
Yeah.
That's when they suck, is when it's just so that you can be pumped up for the next one. But
Avengers versus X-Men.
But they're like, it's an excuse to launch 19 books. But, I mean, that's exciting. I mean, that's cool. It sounds like right up Fraction's alley, but it just, a lot of people are speculating what's he going to stop writing, because he's got Hawkeye, he's got FF, he's got Fantastic Four.
Well, it's reassuring that they haven't announced that he is canceling any of those books yet. He obviously, cares about them, so he'll have an actual, exit from them that will mean something. So
yeah, I mean, I doubt
it ain't over yet.
He's probably not going to go out just in the middle of a storyline.
Yeah.
And if you assume that he's 3 or 4 books ahead, and that comes out in a couple months, then maybe an end of the next storyline. But I can't help but wonder and be afraid that within the next couple months they're going to announce, his end will be sometime soon on, one or a couple of those books. So, but he's also actually, I've said 2. He's actually got 2 plus a mini series coming out of Image. So I mean, he's going to have 3 Image books going on top of his work there. So, but that's exciting. They like the Inhumans. I want to see them get their own shit when they're going to.
Yeah.
Yes, cool group of characters
based around them is a pretty good idea, because they haven't really been front and center in a while.
It's an excuse to find another movie to make. That's what I think in my mind. Is just like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're like, well, we're just going to dust them off simply because that's a different movie that we can film. So maybe that's going to work out for them.
Yes, Inhumanity will be the title of that book.
Yeah. Speaking of the movies, Fox finally getting off their asses and going to have a bigger X-Men universe, which people have been speculating about for 3 or 4 years now.
Right.
Took them long enough when you could just open up to be like, oh, well, here's the other options.
There's so many ways you could go.
They've determined, after Marvel, made their $4 billion that, hey, maybe we should try to do a little more. So they've announced that they're going to have an X-Force movie, which that rules. And the early speculation, at least from, even though he's not writing it or anything, Liefeld said that he's, of course, talked with them, and that
Well,
definitely.
that seems natural. And people hate Liefeld, but it's like, that's his baby.
He created
yeah.
X-Force.
Yeah,
he
he's in the
created
know.
it.
Yeah,
He created it, and he created their two most important characters in it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, he it's also the second highest selling single issue of a comic
Right.
ever is X-Force by him. So you think they would come to him for something, but he said that he's had it confirmed to him that Cable and Deadpool are both going to be in it, and it's going to be a team based around them.
It'd be a shame if they weren't involved.
And they think it's going to be
Cable. I mean,
yeah, and the rumor is it's actually going to be the original X-Force team that the book's going to be about. So that rules, and it's going to be a launch pad to get that solo Deadpool movie out that everybody's been pumped up about and everybody likes. So
it'd be weird to see Shatterstar like on the big screen.
Yeah, we'll
with
see.
his big shoulder pads, and double sword.
We'll see if they all end up being actually from the original run there.
Maybe tone down, not have so many pockets and belts and shit.
And pouches.
Yeah.
It does excite me greatly. Actually, fans, you heard it here first several months ago. Not that we're probably the only people that said it, but we certainly have factual evidence that we did. That the X-Men universe is ripe for the taking in the movie world. They really have just unlimited possibilities. They certainly Fox has every opportunity to build a competing universe to Marvel's just with the variety of things in the mutant world.
They got Spidey too, or
that's Sony. But
Sony has Spidey.
So, that's a pretty large universe in itself too. So,
if you're gonna have one group, it's X-Men's way to go. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's exciting, and I mean they have a lot of options, and even though Wolverine's and everything. I would be quite.
If they could just get Wolverine out for one movie, I'd be happy.
I would be quite happy if they did the Remender X-Force that Wolverine happened to be the leader of.
Yeah, maybe they could be like a sequel.
I mean, you can insert Cable into it if you decide you're going to be Cable. I mean, you could interchange him for somebody on the team.
Yeah.
Maybe even have the Wolverine role if you wanted to. But I really like the team. It'd be cool to see Psylocke. That's somebody who I think would blow up if they put her in a movie.
Oh yeah.
She would be perfect for a movie.
Phantom X.
And that team.
I mean, Archangel is never.
Yeah, Archangel.
Yeah. Come on.
It's hard to do Archangel though, because
not now.
You'd almost have to explain his backstory. Well, you could do it in a flashback.
Yeah, I mean that is really true. Before they put Archangel in, you would probably have to do.
Angel. I mean, he had that shitty appearance in the third X-Men movie,
true.
But if they're doing Days of Future Past,
throw him on the regular X-Force. X-Force 2 has Apocalypse as the main villain, bringing kind of the Black Ops team.
That's true. Or, I mean, this movie's obviously,
it's getting into X-Factor
it's just announced. It's just announced, and it's probably going to take a while before it comes out. If they were going to do one with Archangel, if you're thinking down the road, then maybe the next X-Men movie could be about Apocalypse, and then that would be a reason for the X-Force movie coming after that to have Archangel in it. So something they could think of. I mean, there's infinite possibilities, but it's just exciting. There's going to be some more characters that people want to see. You're going to see Deadpool on screen again, so that rules, and some other people everybody's been clamoring for. So
very cool to see Cable on screen. Who do you think? Who do you think possibly in the running to play Cable?
Well, I know that The Rock looks like Cable. I mean, he's built. Cable's a big giant guy, and he basically, you're talking about a fucking guy created in the, for early 90s stuff.
Yeah.
So The Rock is built like everyone that ever was drawn between 1989 and 1994.
He'd be excellent.
So he'd be perfect for a lot of guys, but I think specifically he would be perfect for Cable. I mean,
you need somebody big and menacing to contrast to like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, because it's just kind of part of the character.
And The Rock, he's gotten like a little bit older. Cable's a little bit older from the future. I mean, they're not going to have somebody. It's not going to be Clint Eastwood. They're not going to cast a guy who looks as old as Cable looks in the comics because they just don't do that.
I mean, you cast a big star like The Rock alongside Ryan Reynolds in the superhero movie. I mean, that's got every bit of potential to compete box office with Downey Jr. stuff. That's crazy.
I think that's really a current Hollywood mad dash is every franchise The Rock goes to has been exceeding what they ever thought of, and he's right now box office gold. So I think it is within the studio. It's kind of a thing where everybody's looking for the perfect superhero role for The Rock to play. Yeah. I know he's been thrown around in DC. I think they were going to make a Lobo movie just because they wanted The Rock to play Lobo, but I think that actually has been scrapped.
I heard Namor at one point.
I've heard Namor. The Rock volunteered to be Luke Cage. He retweeted a tweet, said, "Hey Marvel, I'm down if you are." him side by side as Luke Cage.
That would be
So-
awesome,
That'd
too.
be
So, yeah,
kick-ass.
I mean,
do a
I-
damn new Warriors
yes,
movie or some
I
shit
think
like that.
Heroes for
Heroes for
Hire.
Hire, yeah.
anything that The Rock does, and then, if you've, yeah, it's perfect, and then all of a sudden, you could pass the torch from Downey to The Rock if Avengers 3 is going to be his last,
Yeah.
movie or whatever, Avengers 4, then you throw The Rock on the Avengers there, and then all of a sudden
Hell
people
yeah.
aren't as bummed that Downey's gone because The Rock's
There's
on
like all the last 10 years of Avengers have been Bendis, and that's all been
Yeah.
him putting Luke Cage to the front and
Yeah, he
center.
loves that guy, man.
He
Age of
really
Ultron
made
had a big
a new
Cage
star
presence.
out of him,
Mhm.
honestly.
He had a big presence in even that cartoon series, Ultimate Spider-Man. He had a big hand in that too. So he loves that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exciting news, so that's awesome. And I think it's time to go back.
Let's all go back. I'm talking about some 1990s comics with X-Force. I'm going to go back to one of my favorite 1990s stories with Spirits of fucking Venom. My favorite 90s villain, one of my favorite villains of all time. This is like, it has a lot of 90s cliches and it's got Ghost Rider and shit. But man, it seems like they'll drag it down and make it kind of cheesy to read, but I went back and read this the other week and man, it took me back to the long box. It starts out, this is a true crossover. It's just two groups of people just literally just crossing paths. They're on different missions and some weird shit happens. It starts in, the crossover is just between the books Web of Spider-Man and Spirits of Vengeance, which of course is Ghost Rider teaming up with Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, who has forsaken the Zarathos demon, but he ends up pairing up with the new host of it, Daniel Ketch. Well, the first one is Web Spider-Man number 95, and it's got the classic team of Saviak and actually Howard Mackey is the writer of this storyline. One of my favorite Spider-Man writers. He was responsible for a great deal of the Clone Saga. People don't care too much about that, but he brought it back around and he relaunched Amazing and Peter Parker Spider-Man, and he really made something of them. I mean, those books were kind of in the gutter before he came along and took them back out. First issue here is Spider-Man has accosted old Hobgoblin here, and of course, this is the Hobgoblin that he used to be possessed by that demon, and they got separated and it turned into its own goblin character, Demo Goblin. Just kind of cheesy, very 90s character, but his whole mission, his whole thing is like he wants to eradicate all demons on Earth. It makes him a hypocrite, but he's always like, oh, but I will eradicate myself last, because I am equally a sinner, but all you fools are first. And it's just a cool conglomerate of Spidey characters. His Demogoblin's main right-hand man at the time is the Doppelganger from Infinity War. Basically, the whole deal with that is the Magus created all these evil versions of the Marvel Universe, and he survived somehow. All the other ones died off. But he stuck around for a while. This is pre-Maximum Carnage, so he was at least there through all that. And halfway through the book, see Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze trolling through the sewers trying to find Hag and Troll. They got some shit going down there, and they run across Venom's path. Venom's looking for the same people, and shit goes down, because they don't get along. And it's just kind of badass. Moving along to part 2 here, which is one of the highlights of it, because the artwork is still the same writer, Howard Mackey, but the artwork is done by one of the Kubert brothers, Adam Kubert. And it's glorious, man. It's just fucking badass 90s artwork. At this point, like, Andy and Adam kind of had the very similar art styles. This was kind of before they kind of parted ways. But Adam's Venom is probably one of the best interpretations of Venom I've ever seen. His eyes do some weird things you don't usually see. They're kind of like squinty at times. They kind of warp around his face. And his teeth like jut out at all angles. He doesn't get along with Ghost Rider, and most of the team up, like Spider-Man's in the backgrounds for the most part, but it's pretty much about Venom and his interactions with Ghost Rider. and Johnny Blaze, and he's just like, I'm coming with you guys. We got to set aside our differences like a regular crossover. Of course, they kind of fight here and there, some infighting. And back to Web for part 3 here. It has a beautiful cover by Mark Teixeira, who, of course, was a big Ghost Rider artist at the time. And most of the cool shit happens in Spirits of Vengeance. But this, I mean, you know, they do a good job of, like, balancing the story between the 2 books. But, like, the Web books, they kind of take a hit just because all the important story moments happens in Spirits of Vengeance. But it's cool. The last issue, Spirits of Vengeance number 6, has another beautiful cover by Adam Kubert. And it's just Venom. He's fucking hanging on the top of the sewer. He's got the Hellfire shotgun broken in his jaws. He's got Ghost Rider's skull around his fist.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
And this is where it fucking breaks, Rowdy. The very first panel is a splash page, and you get the camera is in Venom's mouth, and he's attacking the fuck out of Ghost Rider. And we get a really badass fight between the 2 characters. And it's all, you kind of think Ghost Rider would kind of have, like, he would have the point here where he's made out of fire, but apparently Hellfire is different. It doesn't really fuck up the symbiote like regular fire. It even bites off one of Ghost Rider's gloves. It's something you don't usually see. You know, he's got the flaming skull, but you don't see the rest of his body. But, like, for the whole rest of the issue, he's just got a flaming bone hand because his glove got ripped off. But Venom pounces on this motherfucker and wraps his chain around his teeth and fucking, he's just ready to lay him low. And now, the Hellfire shotgun does some shit to Venom. And you kind of think, you see this part where Blaze has the gun to the back of Venom's head. I got you, motherfucker, you better stand down. And he uses his tendrils to block, like, the trigger finger there, and he's like, he just fucking beats his ass in. He actually gets stabbed by Johnny Blaze, but he just takes it out of his fucking symbiote. It's just a badass moment, and I love it, man. It was a fucking great story. Spider-Man's here a little bit here and there, but this story is primarily a Venom story, and that's why I love it. And that does it for me, you guys.
No character really embodies the 90s quite like Venom. He was a child of the 90s. He was definitely... They got nervous after Venom debuted because he was a murderer and he was one of the more popular merchandise sellers.
He became like the anti-hero. People really got behind him. I mean, he eventually kind of went back. I mean, he still killed people, but he was like kind of like a Wolverine. Well,
any bad guy that gets too popular is going to be Magneto's babyface.
That's true. Yeah, he's kind of come around.
Venom was always the champion of my G.I. Joe / other figures of that height wrestling league. Because his action figure was so awesome. So,
yes, it was.
Yeah, so very often I had him doing battle against all sorts of different people. Actually, him and Wolverine, that was the perfect battle. Even though, I mean, I read comics some. That was during my time as a kid that I actually liked him. But he was so awesome looking that even... I didn't know, like, his comic origin or anything. I knew he was in Spider-Man, but I knew he looked awesome.
He's like the anti-Spider-Man.
Yeah,
actually, that's the perfect book, because nothing embodies the 90s more than Venom or the fucking resurgence of Ghost Rider. Like, all of a sudden, people are like, flaming fucking head on a motorcycle. Yeah, we're down for
Sign me up.
And it has all that 90s excess where it's all extreme and goofy, but, like, it's still a solid comic story. It's a great crossover.
He's one of the guys, man, when I read the book, the History of Marvel book that I read, that was like the thing they said that whoever the editor-in-chief was at the time at Marvel was, if a book wasn't selling, either put Wolverine or Ghost Rider in it. And that's what led to
Venom.
That's what they led to, like, thinking was going to be their, like, most masterful plan ever. They're like, oh my god, we're going to do a Ghost Rider versus Wolverine and Wolverine book. That was their answer to everything. So any of the crazy crossovers you see, if you're just going through your 90s book and you're like reading Captain America and you're like, what the fuck is Ghost Rider doing here? It's because it wasn't selling well. And that was the answer to everything.
Makes sense. Yes. Doesn't work so well now. You don't see Ghost Rider around.
You can't put him in a movie.
Stepping out of the grunge of the 90s.
Yeah, time to take off the flannel.
Into the excess of the 80s.
Yes.
Back to 1982 for part 4 of the Chris Claremont and Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries. We're going to find out what's happened here. Last time we saw Wolverine sever ties with Mariko after going on a romp through Japan. Now it's put up or shut up time. He's coming to the Yashida clan stronghold, and he's going to take down Shinjin Yashida, the head of the Yashida clan, the father of his love, Mariko, who has denied him. Really awesome finale to this story. It's pure Wolverine obtaining his vengeance, man. There's not much. Yoshida knows he's fucked, and he essentially tells all of his guys he's fucked, but that he's gonna stay and fight this guy.
Of course he's fucked.
He's meeting with him, trying to figure out what's going on. Yukio, of course, comes in and tries to beg mercy for not killing Wolverine. Says, look, I killed Mr. Asano. It was his friend. It hurt him because she loves him still. She didn't want to kill him.
Right.
But Shinjin has none of it and beats Yukio almost to death. Now, it doesn't happen here, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I'll go ahead and tell you. After she recovers from this in X-Men history, Yukio ends up becoming a very famous X-Men villain by the name of Lady Deathstrike.
Right.
Her hatred for Wolverine is born out of the heartbreak she had from loving him, and she turns into a huge villain. So this right here is where she has set down that path, by the way. Just a little tidbit of X-Men history for you.
Get the history. I didn't necessarily knew that. I was familiar with both characters. I did not realize that was there.
Yes.
I did not realize that.
That is. And so Yukio is fucked up. The bosses of Shinjin tell him that Wolverine's on the way. They're starting to radio all the hand that have been sieged to guard the palace, and of course they're all just dead, like just gutted. And then Wolverine sneaks around the corner as Mariko's cowardice husband is trying to lead her away. And of course he says, "Take another move and I'll kill her, Wolverine." And well, Wolverine fucks that guy up. We're just gonna say there. Yukio fights back from the brink of death after getting her ass whipped, coming back to make one last save for Wolverine, but, you know, ultimately what turned her into Lady Deathstrike is that he didn't come back for her. But that's not in this book, by the way. I'm not trying to confuse you, just more history.
Right.
But anyway, Wolverine has the ultimate showdown with Shinjin that they've been building here for 4 issues, and Wolverine pops the claws and snickety stick.
Yeah.
And
better than any sword, man. It's almost unfair. It's like unbreakable. I got 6 swords. What's your one sword gonna do?
Mariko comes in to find that Wolverine has slain her father. And he begs, he tells her, look, I had to do it. Sorry, I know you hate me. And she tells him, no, I don't hate you. Because he was a dishonor to our household with his illegal activities and his cheating. So, you deserve his honor. And she gives him their sword, forged thousands of years ago for the Yashida clan, this legendary relic, and says that Wolverine is the man that holds the honor of holding it. Make out, Sesh. Good night.
I love the sense of honor in Japan, where a scene like that, she could be like, no, it's okay to kill my dad. He dishonored her household. Hey, will you drop these panties off at that, will you drop these off at the store so somebody could buy them? Let them know it was me. The differences in Japan.
Slightly different.
So,
Stick those in the machine.
Oh, yeah, the vending machine.
Yeah, put them in that vending machine.
Be interesting to see how much of that makes it into the movie, though. Wolverine hitting theaters July 26th. That's not this coming weekend, but the next. So, looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I mean, it looks better than what I initially thought it might be, so I don't really have expectations for it. So as long as it's pretty good, it'll make me happy.
Yeah,
I'm here pretty much, too.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I have no Back to the Longbox this week because I'm reading it finally happened. Finally got the Brubaker Capped Omnibus set, so I got 3 good omnibuses.
It'll take a while to get through there.
The first one has 26 issues. I'm about 20 through it. It's awesome.
I was about to say, talk about what you've read. That's Back to the Long Box enough.
I mean, it's good. I mean, it's it's a good preview for what you'd expect. A lot of this is going to be in the upcoming Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really great story. They do a really great job of. I mean, it is kind of a slow build, but it's not like a boring slow build where you're just like, oh, nothing's happening. Shit's happening, but for the main story arc is obviously in the first couple of issues, you get the seed planted that Bucky's actually alive. And then, the whole time, they're trying to hide it from Cap, and he, finds out that Bucky might be alive, and it's not till issue 14 that Cap and Bucky, it's actually, I want to say maybe issue 10 or 11, maybe 9, somewhere in there that Bucky actually shows up where for sure he is alive, so they hold that off for what would have been 9 months in the original run. So it's a long time, and it's not until issue 14 that Cap and Bucky come face to face. They're talking about over a year worth of comics. And then he's gone. So in the next couple issues, the next few issues after that, is Cap's trying to track him down. So you don't get like you just get like a little mini standoff. I mean, it's perfectly built for a movie. What I've read so far, because you build and build, and they have like a little small battle, and then they're just fucking they're gone and separated again. So it's really good. I mean, it's really awesome. I haven't read like a ton of Captain America stories, but this is by far the best one that I've ever read so far. I mean, it's really, really good.
It seems to be the fan favorite.
Yeah, it's great. The whole story's good. I mean, there's elements of mystery. Everything that Brubaker does really well, there's like elements of that, plus, he tells, it's also a great superhero tale, so I think it's perfect for his talents. I mean, the whole Captain America, for what Brubaker does, I mean, he writes everybody well, but for what he does the best, it's perfect, because it balances everything that he's good at.
I will tell you one thing Brubaker did with that Cap. And, Brubaker's not shy, like you follow him on Twitter, of his political leanings and things. But, I think a lot of writers always painted Cap as a very certain style of political ideology, and that is not necessarily true, because Cap is supposed to be the symbol. He's supposed to be above politics. He's supposed to... Brubaker did a great job of that. Like, there's a lot of social commentary in that Cap run that doesn't necessarily take a side, but just asks important questions. There's one, when like when it was all this, it was cool to hate the French right after September 11th because they didn't want to help us or whatever, and everybody was like, hey, fucking French, fucking pussies, fuck them.
Prize.
Well,
Turns out they were in the right.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to go and steal oil from the Middle East with us.
Yeah.
There was one issue where Cap addresses that, and he's like, I don't understand I don't take kindly to Americans bad-mouthing our brothers in French, because we fought side by side with them in the war, and I knew good Frenchmen that died, and they fought to protect our country just like anybody else did. It's like taking the Cap side. It's like it's not about politics with Cap. It's
super
about
realistic,
serving the greater good. And Brubaker just did that so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. That's a good sign. One of the favorite things I saw recently in the real world was when Egypt overthrew the government, people were holding signs that they had printed out, and there were a lot of them that said, America, we love your people, but we hate your politicians. So I think that's that's a good thing to take. I think people, when they you can separate the politics of a country from the people in the country. I mean, you have to know, living in America, that at least half the things that the government decides to do, everyone hates. So it is kind of dumb to just hate another country because their politicians are dicks, because ours are dicks too. Also, people really like to throw out the if we didn't come to your aid in World War II, you motherfuckers would be speaking German.
All the time.
If they didn't come to our aid during the Revolutionary War, then we wouldn't have a country.
Yeah.
so even Steven, I think that was the whole reason, one of the main reasons we did, was to even up the score, because we wouldn't exist. George Washington would have been hung if he would not be on your dollar. He would have been dead and hung if the French hadn't showed to save the day. So people forget shit. But I really like this. I mean, that'll pretty much, at least for the next couple weeks, take up my extra reading, because it's just so gigantic. So
voluminous.
He was on that forever.
Yeah, but it's time for pulls, and
Pulls time.
Based on the back issues that I ended up getting here to catch me up, it became Pullmageddon 2 for me.
Pullmageddon 2.
I have a ton of them. So I'll start out with a couple.
Surprise Pullmageddon. Is that as painful as surprise butt sex?
It can be on the wallet.
Yeah, it is exactly. But we got I got 3 Wolverine X-Men books. I'll go over real quick here. These are issues 30 through 32. It is the prologue of the Hellfire Saga, and then parts 1 and 2 of the Hellfire Saga, which is apparently a 5-parter.
Nice.
It's cool. Basically, what you get to see in the prologue is the exactly who from the Jean Grey School has been recruited and goes over to the Hellfire Academy, which is being taught by Headmistress Mystique. It's pretty awesome. She's wearing a nice little schoolgirl outfit. Sorry, thought she was hot. Hope that doesn't offend anybody.
It happens.
But she got hot speaking of war. It's yeah. You know what side of the war on boobs I'm on.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
We've all thought Mystique was hot from one time or another.
Yes.
Whether she be
Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah, on the screen
Actually,
or in the books.
Yeah, I mean, she's 2 times hot on the screen, but...
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, great, but... Yeah, so that's the prologue, pretty much just kind of gets who's going to be over there, and then the first 2 issues, which... Sorry if it's a spoiler, but you can imagine Quentin Quire is one of the ones that leave, because that's been kind of what it's leading up to.
Yeah.
You find out in the first couple of issues, though, who's over there and why they're actually over there. Some have gone to the Hellfire Academy because they want to be villains, and then some have gone for their own personal reasons, so kind of get a glimpse of which kids are there for what reason.
Yeah.
You also find that, at least in the Wolverine X-Men, Jason Aaron's playing Quentin Quire is a little bit more special than the rest of them, because they basically are easily able to turn most of them into villains using some magic that they have that is unbeknownst. They got a magic machine that basically makes it where mind readers don't work. Quentin Quire can't read anybody's mind, but they throw them into this little thing and they come out like there's this guy named Snot who's just like a shitty character, and Quentin Quire's like, "What's your superpower?" And he's like, I don't know, and he sneezes and a huge amount of snot comes out, and they're just like, well, that's gross. But then after they throw him through the little portal and he comes back out, it's like he's jacked on steroids, thinking he looks like a 90s hero, and when he blows the snot, it basically like freezes you because there's so much of it on you. So,
oh damn.
But they try to throw
give Boy a run for his money.
Boy, not in either 3 of these. At least I didn't see him. He might be in the background, but
nice for you.
It was great for me, and I'll take Snot any day over Boy.
It's a good trade-off.
Yes, but it's pretty cool. But whatever the thing they're using, Quentin Quire, it doesn't work on him. They say he's the only person in history that it's rejected, that it won't accept him. It's not like a machine. It's like a portal. You'll just have to read it. I don't want to read. I'd have to read a bunch to give the exact. Plus, it'll spoil too much stuff. But it's really exciting so far. And then the first couple of issues are gone, and basically the rest of the X-Men are trying to figure out where the Hellfire Academy is because they don't know, where their actual school is. So they're searching for the kids. So
it's interesting.
Very interesting. Very cool. Let's see. I'll do my other Marvel books real quick here. Had Indestructible Hulk number 10. It was a good follow-up. This is the second part of the Daredevil and Hulk story, so still have Daredevil in the book, and it was very fun. Continuing that story with old HAWKEYE.
Old HAWKEYE.
Yes. Then had a Hawkeye, and it's actually pretty good. Daredevil in this one just kind of takes Hulk to his own benefit. He decides he's going to, behind the back of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to have Hulk help him with some of his day-to-day activities in Hell's Kitchen, and of course it doesn't go well.
That's awesome.
Then Hawkeye number 12. It's Hawkeye. What can you say? It was really cool. You get to see, it's different. It's actually, as you can see here, we've got different artists.
Oh, yeah.
This month.
Hard to pronounce artist name.
Yes.
You want to try that one?
Francavilla. I think that's close.
That sounds pretty
that's close. So it looks different.
Not so bad.
This is the first cover, too, that's actually got, a bunch of different colors and stuff on there. Usually it's the white with, like, a little bit something drawn on, so...
Change of pace.
Yeah, whole thing's a little bit different, but still written by Fraction, and you get the introduction in this story. I believe the introduction in this story, but the introduction to Hawkeye's brother. Hawkeye's barely in the thing. It's all flashbacks, and Clint's brother shows up, and that's basically it. We'll see what that's going to lead to.
Who is
I think
brother?
That actually is the cover artist from the Doctor Who Prisoners of Time.
We'll see how that's going to.
I'm drawing a blank, Todd. Who is Hawkeye's brother?
Hawkeye's brother. I don't know.
Oh, come on. It's like
that's part of the lore I'm not familiar with.
It's somebody from the circus, because Hawkeye came from the circus, right?
It's Barney.
I'm drawing a blank.
It's Barney Barton.
Barney? That's not who I'm thinking of. I was thinking like he had a brother that was also a super villain, similar to Wonder Man and Grim Reaper.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank here.
Yeah, but he's there, and you get to see a thing of them as kids. It's kind of a switcheroo. You get to see it's a story, obviously about childhood, Clint and his brother, and you think the whole time. I mean, I think it's obvious, but the whole time you think that you kind of get to see that Clint, as a kid, was his brother kind of looked after him. That he wasn't the strong one, and then in the story you get to see that it turned out he's the hero. Now this dude's down on his luck and has to bump some money to get there, and he has some things. He does a run in where he goes and fights the bro guys for the Russian mafiosos. He had some fights with them to try to get money from them and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And he shows up at the end. So obviously an introduction. Barney is looks like he's gonna have a little storyline here coming on. So that'll be cool. Yeah. Last Marvel book, Daredevil. As you can see, another classic Daredevil shirt.
Very nice.
Little kids wearing an I Beat Daredevil shirt. The basic issues about a kid from Matt's past when he was a kid, that used to pick on him, comes to him now as an adult lawyer needing some help, and then a lot of the issues just flashbacks to him being a kid and everything that happened. So it's a good issue. Daredevil's awesome, like it always is. Nothing gigantic happened in that one, but it's really great. Then over to DC, had some big books. This was not that big, but it's my first DC book. Nightwing number 22. Nightwing has been really awesome since they moved to Chicago. It's really reinvigorated the book and made it something that's on its own. It's really cool. And basically, the story that's been going on is Dick finds out or is suspicious that Tony Zuko is actually alive and he's living in Chicago. And in this version, in the New 52 universe, which I don't know how you do this guerrilla math, but Dick's parents have only been dead or Tony Zuko's only been missing for like 2 years in this, so it's however you want to put those. I mean, based on the DC
retcon timeline, but not necessarily continuity.
Based how you do the DC universe. I mean, Batman's only supposed to have been around for 5 years, so how Dick, whatever, however you want to do the math in your head. But in this, Tony Zuko has only been gone for a couple years, and Dick's parents have only been dead for like 3 or 4 years. So he did a lot of shit in between being the Boy Wonder and being Nightwing.
Yeah, really.
If it's only been 4 years, but it was
a big time crunch.
Yes, but it was good. And then the last couple issues, Nightwing's kind of been hiding from the cops, and nobody knows he's there. This time, he goes straight up and threatens the mayor, and some other shit happens. So it's good. And then Justice League number 22, Part 1 of Trinity War. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was actually underrated online and some of the scoring and stuff. I thought it was a great first part of the event. Some reviews I'd read, people were saying that they, couldn't tell what was happening. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's like, it's a pretty non-shocking story. They used what had previously happened. In the previous issue, Superman and Wonder Woman had gone to a country that they were supposed to, was a neutral country that apparently Americans in the Justice League weren't allowed to go to, and that caused a big what to do, and people were mad. So in this one, they see that Shazam's going there, so so the main story with them is the Justice League and JLA go there to try to get Shazam out of there because they don't want it to start some sort of international incident.
So it'll be a big crossover between those two teams.
Yeah, and then also the JLA gets called in or the Justice League Dark does because the Justice League calls in Zatanna because for some reason they think they need her help because Shazam's power comes from magic.
Oh, there's some magic being thrown around.
Yeah,
obviously.
All three teams end up showing up there, and then of course it interrupts into a fight that they're all just like, why are we fighting? What's going on? And then but then in the background, the story that's going on is all about what's her name, the fucking chick, Dan, that was introduced.
Pandora.
Yeah, it's all about Pandora and what she's saying. And then you kind of get to see like who's after Pandora and like what's going on. I mean, it doesn't give you like a lot of answers. I mean, a lot of the book is the main who looks to be one of the main villains. This chick's in a shop like having her future read with tarot cards, and she wants it to be like, she wants it to be confirmed that like what she's seen is actually going to happen and all this, and she's apparently going to be one of the bad guys. So I mean, it leaves you with plenty of questions, but it's part 1 of a 5-part event, so that's good. It leaves you with a bunch of questions.
That's what it should do.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff happens. But then Superman Unchained #2. As you can imagine, it was good. There's a really awesome scene in it actually, which is very, very Supermanish, and a lot of people that the things that they didn't like about Man of Steel, the movie, you really like in Superman Unchained here. The very first few pages, there's a giant.
It back around.
Yeah, there's a giant building falling down, and Clark is like going through his head, and the kind of Batman style, the inner monologue of how can I keep this building from falling? Like, can I just use my heat vision? He's like, no, the type of material in there is going to get too hot. It's going to at least kill a few people. Like, can I, just use this? He's like, if I just grab it, then the shock of it's going to shoot people out the window. So he has to go through his mind what's the best way of saving the building, which I thought was really cool. And then the rest of the issue, you get some Batman. Batman is showing up, hanging out.
I've been enjoying the Superman inner monologue just because it's a good contrast to what Batman would have to deal with in one of his normal situations. Superman's got different shit going on.
Yeah, Superman does have some different shit. And like when he's doing this, he's doing the time. He's like, I have 15 seconds to save this. And it's like, can I try this? No. Can I try this? No. Can I try this? No. And then when he finally does, it's pretty cool. And then later on, you get to see some cool stuff. You get to see Superman goes to the Bat Cave to get Clark to help him figure out what's going on. Because as we saw in the previous, there's a new villain. In the first one, you saw the mystery of there was one satellite missing. You found out there was a villain behind it. So Clark goes to talk to Bruce and try to figure some stuff out. He gets to see some cool technology. He can't see Bruce for some reason in the cave, and Bruce is like, of course you can't. The suit, I made the suit before we were friends so that you wouldn't be able to use your vision to see me.
Nice.
He's like, I figured now would be a good time to test it out. And he's like, why do you still have it? And Bruce is like, oh, no, just keeping it just for the heck of it,
Just in case.
So that's cool. And then the rest.
If they weren't friends, he wouldn't let him know he had the suit, so yeah.
Exactly. And then the rest of it, you get to see Lois Lane's dad, General Lane, showing up, and he kind of tricks Superman. He tries to get him into a little situation, and then some shit happens. I won't spoil, but it's really good so far. I mean, Snyder, I wouldn't say... I mean, it's kind of the same way people felt like with Batman, where it's good. It's not as good as you think Snyder's going to get. But I mean, when New 52 started, a lot of people didn't like the core balance in the first few issues, and then they're all of a sudden like, oh shit, it all makes sense. It's so good. Oh, and then he went from like issue 3 or 4 of Batman, people thought Detective was better. To issue 12 of Batman, people being like, well, he's already like the 4th best guy ever. So he takes a minute to get going, but it's been really good so far. And then my favorite book of the week, surprise, was Batman Zero Year.
Oh, yeah.
It's part 2 of that story, issue number 22. Did you get this book?
Not yet. Staggering my
Is this
polls
on purpose,
right now.
or did I just get some stupid book? Because I got 2 covers and 2 back covers.
I'll have to let you know when I pick mine up.
So I don't know if this is like an accident.
What the hell?
Yeah.
You might have
it's worth $1 million, no.
So I've had some books that were missing pages, but this has extra pages. That might actually make it worth more.
It has an extra cover and back cover look like they've been stapled onto the book, which is just weird. It's the exact same thing.
Is it made out of the same material?
Yes, it's a cover,
Huh.
And I looked at it.
The first one had that stock cover.
I have to admit.
I don't know.
I wonder if this was just a cheap thing because they were going to do stock covers and they ran out of time. Or we have to make it heavier when you grab it.
Put 2 covers on it.
I stared at this thing for like 30 minutes because I'm a nerd. Well, it's more like 5, but I mean, like, there's going to be something different. There's a hidden secret in here.
Might be.
Because it's about the Riddler, so like, maybe this is a riddle, or maybe it's just a printing problem. If it is a riddle, I feel like an asshole for not being able to crack it. But I really, really, really like the issue. It's really good. A really major overarching thing that I've started to think here is that I'm wondering, and you kind of get to see in the issue, if the Red Hood is the Joker or not. That's the thing that you get to question here, because it's all about Bruce going and trying to stop the Red Hood. He actually does a great thing. He builds himself a Oswald Cobblepot costume. So he's got, some Eddie Murphy in every movie he's ever been in makeup to make himself into a fat guy. And he switched places with him because the Red Hood gang is about to rob the Penguin while he's on a blimp, which is cool. They bring back, Snyder said he was going to bring the blimps back because he loves them in the intro to the animated series. So he has a little dialogue in here of why blimps are still being used in Gotham. And so the Penguin, and it actually makes sense for the story too. The Penguin says because blimp traffic isn't as watched over as airplanes, there's not as many records, it's easier to smuggle things using blimps.
That's
great. That makes a great sense.
Nice touch.
Yeah. So Penguin's on there, but Bruce switches places with him, and then the Red Hood catches him and figures out that it's not actually the Penguin, and he rips his costume off, and Bruce is hiding, so he doesn't know it's him. And then he gives a little speech in it that to me, what made me question, like, if the leader of the Red Hood gang, maybe he's in it, but it's not the Joker. If it is the Joker, because it almost seems like too obvious, because he gives a little speech that's like, he's like, that was great. He's like, even though I caught you, that was good. He's like, you seem, he doesn't use these words, but basically like, you seem like, you might be fun to play with. You might be my yin to my yang, and it just makes me think like,
that could be cool, like a little tie-in to like Killing Joke or whatever.
Yeah, but it also makes you think that Snyder pulls the rug out so often that maybe he's doing that because that's not the Joker. Maybe somebody else in the gang, or maybe it's going to be somebody else that's on the outside. But
or Joker could have been like,
or it could just be the Joker, and he could just be doing something that totally makes sense, and people are looking into it too much. But that is a fun little side thing of this, and also the fact that it's a Riddler story, and there are riddles in the book, also puts you in that state of mind of trying to figure out what everything's going on, because that is like a really awesome thing that happens later in the book. So basically you have that. You have him come back with Alfred. I just have to show you this because it has to be talked about, even though it's a spoiler. If you look on the right side of this page, you might notice that Alfred bitch slaps Bruce, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's badass. You can read the book to find out why, but he slaps the shit out of him, and it's great.
Sometimes you gotta smack a bitch.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta smack Batman in the face.
Whack.
Yeah, gives him the smack, but that's awesome. Vicky Vale shows up as a reporter, so that's cool throwback. And then you get this awesome page. This is the riddle. How awesome is this art for this riddle?
Sweet.
So this is basically what would have been a few pages of dialogue shrunken down that you have to read all on its own.
Oh, sweet. It's like numbered.
And it's Bruce. Yes,
panel,
it's Bruce. Speaking with Nigma.
Yeah.
And he tells them a riddle first, and then they have this whole conversation, which is also basically them speaking to each other kind of in code, and they kind of like talking to each other like they both know like something's up. Like Bruce is like, I know that you're more than just this, scientist dude. I know you must be doing something. And the Riddler, as he always does, is leading Bruce on to believe. He's like, well, I know that you're not just Bruce Wayne. You have to be doing something else.
Yeah.
And it's all this huge code, and then there's actually a riddle at the end of it that he actually solved. So it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
And then you get to see the end of it. Somehow the Red Hood and the Riddler are all intertwined, and it's just really, really, really good.
Yeah, really
it's just a really great story. So I'm really, really pumped for Batman every month, man. That's one of the great things about the New 52. I wasn't previously reading comics, but I know that Batman was, even though the movies were so popular, was not one of their best-selling titles. But
really.
It's great that out of the books that DC's done right, they've done it. They've done it the best.
Some weird added value there. You might get a double cover. Who knows what will happen next month? You might
actually get some extra staples and extra cover.
I would shit if there's 3 covers on that motherfucker next month.
If that's it, then I'm going to be sure that I've been duped this.
My pull for this week is standalone Age of Ultron AI. It's the epilogue to the epic Age of Ultron storyline, and instead of just being a little throwaway book, it's a nice kind of introduction to Henry Pym, if you're not familiar with the character. Of course, Ant-Man, Giant Man, Goliath, Yellow Jacket, all those motherfuckers. He's the scientist responsible for, he's one of the original Avengers, shamefully left out of the first Avengers movie, but hey, he's going to get his due, so, I'm not going to sweat it. But it's a cool little backstory for him, and the story's written by Mark Waid. He's no slouch, and it gives a lot of background detail of just why he is how he is, and just early growing up, the challenges he faced trying to become a scientist, and people trying to shoehorn him into, being a worker ant, and he decides to just say, fuck all that, I'm going to go off on my own and create the Pym particles. And it really works out for him, and of course it shows him joining the Avengers, creating Ultron, and all the fallout that comes from that. And it just kind of, it's about him getting back in the game, uses Pym particles to fuck up some regular crime, and it's just a cool display of his powers, like dropping down on this car and from a flying ant, and then going into giant size and crushing the back end of the car, leaping into the driver's ear immediately and punching his brain. He's like, oh, it's okay, man, I'm a doctor. it's a cool thing. It could just be kind of an intro to, of course, Avengers AI, which is coming out next month or later this month. But it's not. I mean, there's only one page devoted to any of that, and it's just a cool little standalone Henry Pym comic, and that's why I love it.
Very cool. Nice that little Hank Pym gets a little due there.
He needs some action. I think he's about to get some with his own book. I wish Mark Waid was writing it. Actually, I don't, because then I'd have to buy it. So. If it's good, I might pick it up in trade form, but we'll wait and see on that one.
Well, I'll keep it brief here. I had 3 selections this particular week, one of which from DC Comics, Smallville number 15, part 3, and the final part of the Argo storyline, which...
Argo, fuck yourself, Daniel.
Superman Argos his ass to the future with the help of the Legion of Superheroes to find that the government has rounded up the world of New Krypton and put them on the concentration camps.
Oh, shit.
So, Superman's not too happy about that. Tries
so.
to solve it. He runs into future Kara, who makes her first post-Smallville appearance in the comic book universe of Smallville. And they actually don't get along well because she blames Cal for abandoning her people during the time they needed it when the government was rounding up all the Kryptonians and trying to put them in concentration camps.
Right, yeah, it's a pretty big oversight there.
So they arrange a revolt with Brainiac 5, the Legion of Superheroes, and
that's like the
Booster
good Brainiac,
Gold.
I guess.
Yes, it is the good Brainiac. Booster Gold and some of the other future heroes, and they're getting ready to stage a coup, and Doomsday comes back and
Fucking Doomsday, always.
fucks all kinds of shit
Doomsday,
up.
Man.
He's a hell of a good Superman villain. Yeah. There's not many great ones. I mean, Lex Luthor is obviously the kingpin Superman villain, but as far as like the opposite direction, brute strength,
bone claw Hulk for DC.
Doomsday's a badass, and it's a hell of a fight. But Kara and Cal team up and take down Doomsday one more time in the future. Cal goes back to his own time, and the world is once again safe for democracy. And over at Image Comics, Walking Dead number 112. Actually, I jumped a little early. This one is going to be my pick of the week here.
You should have any order. You just go for it, man.
Yeah, Marvel's next. I still got one more. It was a good one, but didn't top this one, which was pick of the week, Walking Dead 112. And as Muji said, shit got real.
Yeah, it was awesome, and if you have been staying with us, I mean, at this point, Negan's been around long enough to where we're going to talk about him, so if you get Negan spoilers, and you got to get caught up, man. The last trade paperback had Negan in it, so if you're behind in the collected editions, then sorry.
Yeah, turn it off now. Thanks for listening.
Yes, but
Spoiler alert.
It's awesome because you saw in the last one that Rick went out with a team and was going to go gather up some final supplies before the assault on Negan, and Negan just happened to pay a visit while he was gone. So then he gets back, and Rick finds out that Negan killed one of Rick's people while he was gone.
It was Spencer.
It was Spencer who was trying to who threw Rick under the bus. Who said,
he was the one that was trying to bone Andrea for the longest time, and she rejected him. Now, let's not forget that piece of the storyline.
So he hates Rick, and as you get to find out with the weird morals of all bad guys, which actually something that makes Negan an interesting bad guy is he does actually have a set of morals.
Yeah.
He comes up and throws Rick under the bus and says, hey, Rick is fucking, he's not trustworthy, he's gonna, I don't know anything yet, but he's eventually gonna try to revolt against you, he's no good. And so Negan kills him for trying to
guts him like a fish right in the fucking street.
For trying to throw Rick under the bus, because even though Negan's, a terrible piece of shit, he still has the morals that you don't go and, throw your boss, which is what Rick is of the little area, you don't go throw your boss under the bus. So he kills him for, trying to get Rick tossed. And so when Rick shows up, of course, he's furious, and they yell at each other, and he's like, you can't come kill my people. And Negan's like, well, he was, trying to get me to kill you, and so Rick's like, fine, and And Negan's like, I'm not even going to take any of your supplies. You can keep them. Since I killed one of your men, you can keep your supplies. And Rick's like, no. He's like, take your share. I don't want to owe you anything. And then Rick jumps the gun and is like, fuck it, we're going to kill him. So Rick pulls out all his people, gets Andrea up in the perch, and starts shooting and killing a bunch of Negan's people. And then all of a sudden, Rick and his people get surrounded, and Negan's like, he's like, you think I'm so stupid that I only brought 5 people in here? He's like, you think it takes me that long to come here? He's like, I've had people inside your camp for days already. He's like watching this whole situation. He's like, now you just killed a bunch more of my men. What am I going to do about it? And it's really good. The only thing that hampers it is that they've already announced that they're going to have a big storyline that's coming to Walking Dead. It's going to go 12 issues. That's, like their world at war with all the different areas of war. And so you knew that, like, Negan, they weren't actually going to kill him, which if you wouldn't known that was announced, you might have thought, hey, this might be it. Or you might have thought, hey, Rick might actually get killed here.
Oh,
but the fact that they've got
God.
this 12-issue story coming that they've announced, it's going to be bi-monthly.
Yeah.
That's, The Walking Dead. What do they call it? Was it something war? But
All Out War.
All Out War.
It's like a name storyline.
Yeah, it's a name storyline they announced at the Image Expo that's coming.
Yeah.
So you know that Rick and Negan are obviously going to live long enough for that to happen. So
You'd think,
it took away a little bit of, like, because if you didn't know that, because I even for a second was like, oh shit, they might get Negan. I was like, no, they won't. Then why would they have 12 issues of war if Negan's dead?
Yeah.
But it was great.
Well, like every time it's just like in classic Walking Dead fashion. Every time you think you see a little ray of sunshine, it just, or better yet phrased, every time you see a little bit of light at the end of a tunnel, it's just really a fucking freight train coming to run you smack the fuck over. Like
that was a way better analogy. I was about to say when you see a turd, but this makes sense and isn't just vulgar.
Hey, we tried to pepper this show with intellect. It's certainly not the main ingredient.
That's right.
No,
especially
especially not. We tape as late as we do because half the time I can't fucking get the simplest words out. I was having real trouble earlier coming up. I can't remember what it was that you saved me on.
Well, I had one other issue, Uncanny X-Men number 8, Return of Chris Bachalo to the book. I wasn't real thrilled about that. Still think he's like too light, almost anime style for this.
He was great on Wolverine, the X-Men.
Yeah, he's a great artist. And I don't hate what he's doing here. It's just I don't think it really fits the vibe. But what the fuck do I know?
I mean, I kind of agree. He doesn't fit the storyline, so.
But, the story's progressing now, and in a great way, since the X-Men have gotten away from the early issues where they were pretty much just parroting what was going on in the other books, but just from a different viewpoint.
Made me drop it initially, but I might have to pick it up eventually, because I'm sure the 2 books will intermix in a more significant way.
Well, this is about a broken team. It really is a story of a team broken. All of their powers from the leaders of this team, Scott, Emma, Magic, and Magneto, their powers are fucked up from the Phoenix shit.
Oh yeah, the Phoenix 5.
So they can't fucking use their powers right. They just went to hell, or to Limbo rather. Ileana had to take them all to Limbo to fight Dormammu, and it's a bunch of scared kids that are new mutants that they've recruited, plus Angel from the 60s X-Men and the Midwich Cuckoos. So that it's really a ragtag bunch, and they're trying to figure out how to make it all work. So they get back from Limbo, and of course, like, this scares the ever-loving dog shit out of these kids.
Right.
So immediately, Gold Balls, the guy whose power...
Stick, or...
No, it didn't, but it
should.
Fabio is his name, but we're going to call him Gold Balls, because that's the greatest superhero name ever.
Good.
All he does is shoot gold balls out of his skin.
Balls.
He says, fuck this, take me home. I didn't sign up to go fight Dormammu in hell.
Balls,
I was just coming out to learn how to control the gold balls shooting out of me.
Where's X Factor at? I'm mad at this shit.
So they take him the fuck back home. The anti-mutant sentiment, as always in the U.S., very strong. You see a young mutant who just discovers his powers. Just kind of a flash into what's going on, where they're looking for new mutants to recruit. And these cops just bullying this fucking guy. They threaten to fucking shoot him. His buddy just throws him under the bus. Like, he's like, I think I have mutant powers. He's, oh man, that's so cool. And the cop shows, he's like, he's a mutant! It's like, what the fuck? But, of course, Ileana and the X-Men show up to recruit this kid. And they fuck that cop up. So, an underlying theme also is there's a lot of tension between Scott and Magneto here because, of course, Magneto betrayed the team earlier by going to S.H.I.E.L.D., but, of course, he continues to tell Scott, which seems to be plausible so far, that he was doing it to get a read on what they were trying to do to mutants, and, that it was all on the up and up. And that they've essentially got to get their shit back together. And they present the opposite argument of what they're doing over in Uncanny Avengers, where Havoc is saying, don't call us mutants, we're people with powers like you. Magneto says, say it with me, I am a mutant. You really get an Xavier moment here with him and Scott, where he's like, gets Scott to focus, and he knows his powers are fucked up. He's like, let's just do it from the very beginning, like the first day you got them, and retrain you on these powers. Yeah. And so, very cool. I really dug the Xavier moment with Scott. It's, kind of fucked up in a way since he murdered Xavier, but shows the path that Cyclops is on, and probably some of the best writing that's been done for those characters in quite a while. The end of the book, Goldballs goes back home. His parents are very deeply religious Hispanic folks, so, they're like Catholic predominantly, I'm sure, and they're flipping their shit about him having the gold balls. And, everybody's arguing a lie. They're saying, oh, the mutants influenced you. You touched them? I can't. They must have poisoned your mind. It's the work of the devil. And he flips out and shoots gold balls everywhere, as he does. And they destroy his parents' windows and shit. And they get a knock on the door. Uh-oh. Well, mutant gone home. Could be a bad thing. We find out who is it. It's Dazzler, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's here to help.
Oh, damn it. I knew that Dazzler was about to get a new push. I'd read,
really is, man.
Yeah, she is the new mutant advocate for S.H.I.E.L.D., working directly under Maria Hill, using her celebrity to... That's crazy.
It's an interesting thing. I want to know where this is going to go.
Fucking Dazzler.
Cool concept by Bendis, really paying some tribute to the X-Men fanboys there. That's all I've got this week, folks.
Dazzler.
Yeah, that's all I got. Next week I just have a couple pulls. So that's good because there's going to be a bombardment of news.
I'm going to be playing catch up for a while due to financial problems, but I'll probably have some Ghostbusters and Doctor Who to talk about. At the very least, maybe Thunderbolts. Maybe. I feel like it. Who knows?
Alright, sweet. Well, that's it. So, yeah, if you're really pumped and you're like us and you're dicks and don't have any money and you can't go all the way out to Comic-Con, and as close as you can do, go to your comic book store and get your pulls.